Shalom, this is Avi Lipkin again. I wanted to say hello to everyone, and of course wanted to bless all of those who came with Lipkin Tours, with the Scholars Insiders Tour to Israel, which was a fantastic success. You can find the Scholars Insiders Tour on Facebook and see all the pictures, wonderful pictures they took. And we're hoping, there's even talk of them coming back soon again. The purpose of this YouTube is to talk about the Germanwings flight to Dusseldorf from Barcelona, which crashed into the mountainside because of someone who we all know was suicidal. The question is, was he homicidal? It seems like he was, because if he blocked the door of the cockpit and didn't allow the captain into the plane, he was not only suicidal, he was homicidal, and he murdered 149 people in that plane. Now, this crazy person, his name is Lubitsch. Lubitsch, when you're talking about European languages, Lubitsch is the same as Lubitsch. Lubitsch is not necessarily a German name. Lubitsch is a Slavic name. And some people say that perhaps he had some Jewish background. I would tend to think that if his name was Slavic, Yugoslav, ich at the end of the name is a Yugoslav name. He was one of three nations. Either he was a Serb, or Serbian Orthodox Christian living in Germany, which you do not find so much because the Serbians have had a classic animosity to the Germans and vice versa. He could have been a Croat Catholic, but he could have been also a Muslim from Bosnia. Was he a Muslim? Now, the Facebook page of this Andreas Lubitsch had Allah on it. It was removed immediately after the plane crashed. It was removed by Facebook. And I have the Facebook page that said Allah on it. It was a blue page with white letters, Allah. Was he a Muslim? I believe he was. You know, there is a joke in America, a horrible joke, that the suicide hotline, if somebody wants to commit suicide, but they want somebody to listen to them, they call a hotline. So the suicide hotline was outsourced to Pakistan. And so the joke is that the first question the Pakistani telephone nurse, operators answered was, do you have a license to fly a plane or drive a truck? If you want to commit suicide, then why don't you just blow yourself up and take people with you? Lubitsch disappeared for 6 months. 6 months, he was not flying. Nobody is talking about what he was doing in those 6 months. There were reports that there was a mosque nearby under interrogation, that the German investigators found interesting information in his apartment or in his house. I have a sneaking suspicion this guy was a Muslim. Now, I have to tell you something. I can feel a lynch atmosphere today in the international media against anyone who says that Lubitsch was a Muslim. I think he was a Muslim. I was in the United States in 1995. April 19th, 1995, a horrible bomb exploded in Oklahoma City at the Murrah Federal Building, killing 168 people. They also found a body part of a number 169. They didn't find the rest of the body, but they found the body part. I believe that was the suicide bomber who blew up the second truck. Timothy McVeigh had rented 3 vans from Ryder, Rent-A-Car, Rent-A-Truck. One van he was driving, one van was driven by the 3 Muslims who were involved in the bombing in Oklahoma City, and they escaped to Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And the third van was the one that the truck bomb actually blew up. Now, the US media at that time, the US administration under President Bill Clinton, had a lynch atmosphere against anyone who spoke about an Islamic bomb. And the media immediately reported that there were 3 Middle Eastern men involved and there was an Islamic bomb. But because they succeeded in escaping, and the next day there was no trace of them, the focus then fell on Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, who the media claimed, who the agenda claimed, were born-again Christians belonging to the Waco people who were killed a year before by Janet Reno. And that this was a Christian militia bomb because the Christian right-wing radical militias are considered crazy in the United States. But the truth is that Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols were working together with Saddam Hussein and with Ramzi Youssef. Ramzi Youssef was the one who made the bomb 2 years before in February 1993 in New York City. Praise God, the Twin Towers did not fall then, but over 1,000 people were injured and 6 people were killed by this truck bomb. I wanted to say something that is very personal. I'm a Jewish person, I'm not a Christian. But on April the 19th, 1995, when this bomb went off, I knew it was an Islamic bomb. I give all the proof in my 2 books, Is Fanatic Islamic Global Threat and Islamic Threat Updates Almanac #1. All the information is there. I have worked with people in the FBI. I've worked with people in the State Department. I've worked with people in the Justice Department in the United States. I've worked with politicians. I've worked with Jana Davis, formerly of NBC News in Oklahoma City. The bombing in Oklahoma City was not a Christian right-wing bomb. The bombing in Oklahoma City was a Saddam Hussein Muslim bomb, engineered by Ramzi Youssef. Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols were either converts to Islam or they trained in the Philippines with the Abu Sayyaf terrorist group with Ramzi Youssef. All of this is documented and proven by the US government and by what's in my books as well. And of course, the famous Stephen Emerson, who made the counterterrorism movie Jihad in America. So people in the know, they know that there's a cover-up by the Clinton administration. But the horrible part here that really hurts me is that the Christians took the blame for bombings that were not Christian bombings, but they were Muslim bombings. And now they're saying that this Lubitsch, Andreas Lubitsch, he never said anything about Islam on the tape. How do we know? We didn't hear the recording of the black box. I dare them. I dare the investigators to let us hear, if they haven't deleted it already, let us hear his deep breathing before the plane hit the mountainside. We could hear the banging on the door. We don't hear him saying Allahu Akbar or anything. Why? It probably was deleted or was ignored. So it is also known that if a plane goes down because of terrorism, then the government is liable. If the plane goes down because of some natural disaster reason or insanity, then the government is not liable. So, and this is what happened with TW-800, that the Clinton administration refused to acknowledge the role of Saddam Hussein in shooting down TW-800 with missiles in the summer of 1996 and said there was some cockamamie excuse about fuel injection explosion, which is a complete lie. This has never happened before, and it hasn't happened since, that a 747 would come down because of a fuel injection explosion. So it was clear that the TW-800 was brought down by a missile. Hundreds of people saw the missile. The satellite imagery showed a plane spiraling down. It was spiraling down because the wing was cut off by a missile. It wasn't going straight down as it would if it were a fuel injection explosion. And Saddam Hussein said that tomorrow is Iraq's National Day and we will give America a big surprise. That was the day before TW-800 was shot out of the skies. But the agenda is, in the United States, in Europe, is always to cover up the Islamic aspects of these terrorist acts. Maybe because of insurance reasons, maybe because of liability reasons, maybe because of political reasons, because the whole world economy is buoyed up by Islamic money and Islamic oil. I'm very, very sad that the world refuses to look at any possibility of Islamic involvement. Was Lubitsch a Muslim? I believe he was. Did they take advantage of his insanity? He might have been insane, but that was taken advantage of by the Muslim agenda, I believe. Because had he just been suicidal, he would have just gone off and committed suicide. No, he had to kill 149 people. That is an evil, monstrous thing to do that we don't see anyone else. We don't see Jews doing it. We don't see Christians, Hindus, or Buddhists doing it, but we see Muslims bringing down planes, turning the planes into missiles and destroying everybody on board, as happened on 9/11. And I feel also very bad that The U.S. government and others are harming the soldiers of the United States military. For example, Colonel Hassan and Fort Hood, 13 American soldiers were killed, and it was called workplace violence. I think recently the soldiers were finally recognized, their families were recognized that this was an Islamic attack. So there are people who, I don't want to say that they're stupid, but they have a very clear agenda to cover up Islam and not let the people know that these terrorist attacks stem directly from the Quran, from the Hadith. Anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear understands exactly what happened in all these terrorist attacks in the United States. 9/11, Oklahoma City, like I said before, TW-800, Fort Hood. There are other things also which I don't know how much time we have left, but there's a university called Virginia Tech. I'm going to give a bombshell now. And there was a guy, he was I'm trying to think what he was. I think he was a Korean. And he killed 23 people. And he had tattoos on his arm, Mohammed X. His father was working in Saudi Arabia. And this Korean gentleman by the name of, I think he, or Hui, also lived in Saudi Arabia for a year. 23 people were killed at Virginia Tech. It was never talked about the possibility that it was an Islamic attack, but the guy was a Muslim. Hui, by the way, it's an interesting name. There's a group in West China called the Uyghurs. And anyone to name Hui, whether he's in Korea, Japan, or China, is of Islamic extraction. So there are many things that are either ignored or covered up by the agenda, by the media in the West, and I may add, even here in Israel. It's an uphill battle to get the truth out, and that's why I'm doing these YouTubes. These YouTubes are free. I'm not charging. People are welcome to disseminate this because, like I said before, there's an agenda to protect Islam because Islam calls the shots. Islam has the money. Islam has the oil. And now Islam has the population numbers in Europe, United States, Canada, and other countries of the world. Shalom to everyone, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.